the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty and everlasting God, who presides over all things in heaven and earth, come and preside over these deliberations, so that those that make the decisions may be guided by your wisdom.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the February 27th meeting of Wilkes-Barre City Council. I'm glad to see that there's a lot of active citizens who want to participate in our democracy. We don't bite, we're very friendly, and we'll have a good meeting. Roll call from the clerk, please.
Mr. Barrett is excused. Mr. Belushko?
Here.
Mr. Mirren?
Here.
Mrs. McClay?
Present.
Mr. Brooks?
Here.
Also in attendance is Controller Tony Thomas, Administrator Charles McCormick, City Attorney Tim Henry, Assistant City Clerk Tracy Smith, Administrative Assistant Lisa Sanfilippo.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's regular session of council. Please turn off all cell phones. The following are examples of some important council rules. They are not intended to be a complete list. Please adhere as closely as possible to the 5-minute speaker presentation time limit. No persons are allowed to address the council from beyond the rail, except the speaker at the dais who has the floor. The chairperson shall preserve order and decorum and prevent attacks on personalities. The chairperson shall determine all points of order. No person except city officers or their representatives shall be permitted within the rail during any meeting without the express permission of council. Council kindly asks that the public please vacate the building within 10 minutes after the meeting adjourns. And finally, when members of administration are speaking, please stand up and use the microphone.
Okay, we have several items on the agenda, and I suppose because we have the biggest issue, and what I believe people are here to speak about, is an ordinance related to the food trucks. So anyone who has a comment now on pending legislation, the food trucks, or any other pending legislation that is listed on the agenda may speak now. So who would like to speak first on food trucks?
You want to just go by these?
Oh, sorry. And state your name and address for the record for the clerk.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jaser Castillo. We own Carne y Queso. It's a food truck located by the Wilkes-Barre Boulevard, right next to the Turkey Hill. We started about in 2021, so we've been running for 3 years already. I first started the business with my wife. I was running the whole operation by myself. Then we were lucky enough to start doing a little better, so she was able to quit her job and join me. And then from there, all till today, we have a team of 6 people. I believe there is around maybe 12, 14 food trucks, if I'm correct. If everybody have at least 3, 4 employees, we're talking about maybe 40 jobs that can get affected by this that we're discussing here. Mm-hmm. So I have a few things that I want to discuss, but I have one main concern. I went over the whole paper, and it was only the closing time. I was here on Monday, and I heard that we were kind of split in between. Either we close at 11 or we can close at 2. So maybe I can give you my perspective why I think it's a better idea maybe to close at 2. So the first thing is that personally, we do over 30% of our revenues is after 11 p.m. So we pretty much serve college students, the orange economy, Uber drivers, taxi drivers, people that work in second, third shift, people that usually don't go to bed at 6 or 7 p.m. because we mainly serve comfort food. So people get those cravings after 9 or 10. They don't want to cook. So they just go out and get their food, and most of them also do just delivery apps like DoorDash. As far as I never had any incident after 11 p.m. I understand that after 11, we want to keep the police maybe too focused on other things rather just to making sure enforcing that we're following the rules. But as far as I understand, in the 3 years that we've been running, we never heard of any incidents regarding the food trucks. Maybe there's one incident that there was a lady that got robbed, but that can happen anywhere. So as far as I see it too, I see it because when we started, we was only 1 or 2 food trucks. Now there's many. So I see the evolution. I honestly think that we bring value to the city either by bringing people from other cities, like Scranton, even Allentown. I have people driving from all the way from Philadelphia, from Hazleton, and I'm sure that I'm not the only spot they visit when they come here. They go to other places and they spend their money, which is transactions that just bring more revenue to the city. And then we just pretty much pay our taxes that goes to the police. I also believe that people want more options. They don't want limited options. If you limit people after 11 to only a few spots, let's say McDonald's or Domino's Pizza, I don't think people want less options. They usually go for more options. So I believe we should leave it to the citizens to decide if they want to do business with us or somewhere else. Of course, if we maintain everything, if we're able to maintain everything in order, like I understand that's your main concern after those time, after 11 p.m. I just want to say a closing statement. I think at the end, it's about what's fair. It's a fair competition. I believe in the free market. And in this industry, and let the citizens decide when they want to spend their money. That's all I got to say.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm really glad that you're here in Wilkes-Barre, that you're doing very successful, and that you keep expanding and hiring more employees. Councilwoman McClay, would you like to speak to the issue of the time?
So I am in agreement with the 2 o'clock time, because after speaking to a few of you, you are open after 11 o'clock, and that is a majority of your business. We also don't regulate the restaurants, so I don't see how we could cut your business short by making it stop at 11 o'clock. If you're making 30% of your money after 11, I agree, we should not be cutting you short.
Thank you.
Well, and the ordinance under consideration tonight set it at 2.
2.
There's no ordinance in front of council tonight that would set it at 11 o'clock. So for tonight's purpose, it's 2 or it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand. I was just because it was raised, maybe to change it to 11. That was my only concern after I read the whole paper. You
So
know.
it was originally 11. We changed it.
Yes, yeah, as I was here on
Right.
Monday. but
And we made it more in the morning, too.
Okay,
Yeah, we changed the hours for it.
okay.
And I'm glad you had no other issues, because I worked very hard on that.
I mean, like I said, I understand everything needs to be fair. I understand maybe restaurants think that, they have a little bit more of a weight than us, but we're willing to cooperate to make sure that we organize this industry, because the bigger we make it, it's just more business for Wilkes-Barre, and it's just more money through taxes for more services for the city.
Exactly. Right. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Another person like to speak on pending legislation with the food trucks? Yes, sir. Please come forward. State your name for the record and your address.
James T. Zenix, 11 Ralph Street, Wilkes-Barre.
Thank you.
I don't really have a dog in the fight here about the food trucks. The only thing I'm concerned about is the time. 2 o'clock in the morning, that seems ridiculous.
Okay. Did you want your comment?
No, how far into the neighborhoods did I get? I don't know.
I can actually answer. You're done?
Well, I might have a little rebuttal, I don't know.
So I actually did, I drove around. 16 food trucks are currently operating in the city, and none of them are next to homes. They are all either on a commercial, in a store parking lot, or they are on a
My question
commercial
is,
lot.
can they go into the neighborhoods?
Well,
Sure.
I'm sure at some point, but then again, we are able to change our ordinance if we need to and address residential. Would they need to go through zoning if they wanted to go in residential?
I mean, is there a necessity for that?
For 2 a.m.?
Well, I mean,
For them to go into residential?
yeah.
Well, no, I agree with you, but currently, looking at the ones that we have, none of them are in a residential. They are all on commercial.
I think you're opening a can of worms here,
They're currently all operating and past 11 o'clock. And I don't know of
Well,
any
that's just my
problem.
opinion.
With no laws.
Right.
That's my opinion.
And I appreciate it.
So when the time comes,
And it makes sense they are where they are because they want to be in areas where there's high traffic.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of neighborhoods aren't going to have the volume these guys are looking for. They're not going to have the traffic.
Right.
Technically, on this ordinance, they can't park across the street from your house, as long as it's legal parking. But like Tim said, I agree, it would be more contagious for them to be in high-traffic areas. I do agree with that. But they can park right in front of your house.
They can't park in front of your house because that's a city
Well,
street. You need a permit.
I'm only concerned, I don't want
Well,
to
yeah, sure.
open a can of worms here.
Right.
And then later on, you can't retract it.
Oh, we
No,
can
we
ret-
can.
Don't worry.
We can at any time.
Yeah, we could also
We can change it at any
Which is
time.
why I feel by cutting them short, if we have a problem after 11 o'clock, we can at any time go in and change the time.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Thank-
I do have another subject.
Is it on the agenda on pending legislation?
No, not that I know of.
Okay, so we'll have public comments after we talk about this?
Yeah, I have another subject.
Good.
Yeah, we'll bring you back
I'll invite you back at that time.
Okay.
All right, James, good. Anyone else want to speak on the food trucks? Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Hello,
Hi, please state your name for the record.
Daisy Barra. So
Daisy.
basically, Jason covered everything I wanted to say. I have a food truck as myself. We've been there since 2021 as well, if I'm not mistaken.
She said Daisy.
We do open until 3 a.m. I haven't had no problems. We do get people. We get a lot of people from, that work overnight, but they're very nice. We never had an issue. We even have the police buying tacos from us. We never had an issue at all. And it was the time frame, like he said. And I mean, basically, he covered everything I wanted to say. And I appreciate that you guys, made the decision of us leaving open until 2 a.m. We take that hour.
Good.
Okay?
Very good.
Thank you.
Miss,
Thank you so much,
you.
Daisy.
One quick question.
Yes.
Ma'am, where's your food truck located?
Mine is by Cole Street in Wilkes-Barre
Behind the
Township Boulevard.
Sunoco.
Yeah.
Behind the Sunoco on Cole Street.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's all.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Are we putting the timer on?
State your name for the record.
Farah Sharon Font.
Oh, hi, Farah. How are you?
It's me. Everything is pretty much, great. I'm glad that you guys changed. I just wanted to share that I recently launched For Humanity Cooperative Chamber of Commerce, and what I'm doing in the city and actually throughout northern Pennsylvania is forming cooperative-owned businesses, so businesses that are owned by the community. And one of the first things we're doing is converting 2 school buses into a mobile grocery bus / food truck. So that's why I was here. I was a bit concerned about that. It is going to be a business that's operated by members of the community.
Right.
And a portion of the proceeds will actually go into a fund to help build affordable housing
Yep.
for the unhoused community. So I'm just glad that, that ordinance was changed. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else on the food truck ordinance? And pending legislation? Yes, sir. State your name for the record.
Hi, Christian Krupscha. I've been invited by a friend to consider investing in food truck, and so this ordinance affects that decision. Mr. Jaser here has addressed most of the concern regarding the late working hours. One of the thoughts regarding the clientele is that we as a county and as a region have built all these or warehouse complexes and invited in a large group of folks to come in and work here, and they're working late hours. And I don't know about y'all, but I sure as heck, when I'm done with work sometimes at 11 p.m., I do not feel like making dinner for myself.
Right.
So the hours, the prior hours had, I felt, given unfair advantage to those physical restaurants which are currently allowed to operate much longer hours. But the changes have been made to address that. One of the things that I do retain some concern about is Section 1156B about we can't operate within 100 feet of a restaurant service area and entryway for public ingress.
That's actually been changed. to
It's been
50,
changed.
just
Oh, it
so
has
you know.
been?
Yeah,
What is it currently?
50, it's going to be 50.
It was 100 originally.
Oh, so it's more restricted. Oh,
Right.
less restrictive?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was going to say, because we could look out this window, and there are 5 restaurants that
Right.
still violate the 50-foot rule.
Right.
The only other comment is that, some of the larger trailers and food trucks, I don't think realistically would fit in a public parking spot on, say, the square, for example. However, some of the smaller ones do, along the size of, say, the hot dog stand or the halal guy who's down on Northampton frequently. And I don't understand the purpose of prohibiting the food trucks within the commercial district. That guy down there, or anybody who wants to try and improve themselves and build a business and start from scratch, and maybe you just start with a little grill at baseball games, and you build up to some little small hot dog stand, and you can go out there. That's where the people are. And I don't think that when I go to spend money at, say, Cafe Toscana or Rodano's or wherever, and spending $100 a head on dinner, I'm not the client who's in competition with the guy selling $10 falafel or whatever. So I think that in that situation, let the market determine it. Let the people determine it. Beyond that, I have no further problems with the changes that were subsequently made. So thank you.
Right, thank you. Any response?
No, I mean, I appreciate everybody coming. Just so everybody knows, currently we have no ordinance in place for food trucks. So we're just kind of trying to get something in place. It is a work in progress. We can always tweak things as we go along, but we have to start somewhere. So that is kind of where we're at.
And I appreciate, the concept of maybe offering some protections to restaurants which have invested in physical infrastructure and are stuck in one spot in the city and have been around for some time. However, it's up to them to continue to provide a meaningful offer to whoever the customer may be. So that's just my thoughts on the...
And just so you're aware, the retail business district prohibition is something that's been on the city books for a long time. It was part of a different ordinance. So that rule was in effect well before this. This just keeps it the same.
This just keeps it the
As
same.
council has already indicated, this is an ordinance. This can certainly be changed and be amended after 2 readings. So if, council wants to revisit that issue, it's certainly something that would be easy enough to do.
And it also does not affect the food trucks coming down for special events. It's still the same as it always has been. You get the permit and you're allowed on the square for the events, so
Gotcha.
it doesn't
I presume.
affect that.
Great.
Yeah, and there is an exception if you do have the consent of the city to operate within that zone.
Is there, regarding that consent, is there some kind of a structure or application process rather than, who you know?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with all the rules just off the top of my head here, because I didn't review them or anything before I came up. But the trucks that do like fine arts or other events and stuff, farmers market, they get another license. It's different. It's like a special events license or something like that. So it's a little cheaper. It's a different application process. I'm just not exactly.
That would be an application through that event coordination.
Right. So it's a little different.
Gotcha.
For those kind of events.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you need,
Thank you.
if you need to get to that, you would have to go to special events, I guess, special events officer, and go through them. They would set you up with the health department and for the licensing.
Kim, did you want to speak too?
No, my husband covered everything.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I
Sounds good.
wanted to change the hours.
Okay.
That was my main concern.
Got it.
Was that the limitation of the business.
You can't speak from there, sorry. If you want to speak up there. Thank you.
Kim Kupcha, just in response to you, Tony.
Hi,
I'm
Kim.
here because I was concerned about the hours. Again, you're limiting the clientele for these people. I strongly am against the mischaracterization of only drunks frequenting this. There was a comment in a newspaper that we don't need to satisfy drunks at 2 a.m. That is not the business of these trucks. And also by limiting that, there's a certain cultural food aspect to it, and I think that that would negatively reflect on the city. So I'm glad that you did change that.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim. Anyone else on pending legislation? Mr. Troy?
Unless
Never.
you got something, Sam.
Addressing another issue here.
Well, anything else on the pending legislation, Sam? Anything on the agenda you can speak about?
Well, regarding the RACP grant, I missed Tuesday's work session. I guess I could have been provided with more details there as usual, right? But there are no specifics except for the amount spelled out, and I understand now that there's a match involved here. Could somebody enlighten me as to, I heard something that this might be going to alleviate drug problems here, or the recovery house? Is that what this money is for? And actually, if I can just get this straight, Greater Wilkes-Barre Industrial Fund just serves as a conduit for this money, or do they actually get involved in what is the scope of the overall project and the specifics of this overall project? I mean, you can't just, I understand there's a limited amount of space, but it's so vague here. This is taxpayer money, correct? I mean, it may not be coming from Wilkes-Barre's coffers, but it is taxpayer money. So I think the taxpayers deserve an explanation as to what this is about. And also the money for Wilkes is a little more direct, a little more specific. But I have to say that I object to that since council has to approve it. I don't understand quite, well, I guess everything has to go through council. Is that it, the RACP grant? I object to this money as usual being funneled, taxpayer money directly or indirectly to Wilkes, because their contribution to the city's budget is so minimal. The pilot, right? The pilot fund program in lieu of taxes is minimal compared to the amount of real estate they own. So why should it be that the city has to go out of its way to funnel taxpayer money to them for this project? That may be a worthwhile project. I'm not saying it isn't, for Wilkes itself. But I think council should try to assert itself in trying to obtain some leverage here. So and how much money have they gotten with LSA grants, and other grants that's been also funneled through council here? A lot, millions, to do various projects. And again, I'm not saying, for their sake, it's good. But for the taxpayers' sake, it's not. There's got to be some concession on their part to contribute more to the city, whether it's directly into the coffers. I don't know the figure. I think it's only $100,000, if that they're contributing. So that's got to be increased, or they have to make some concession in terms of maybe a tuition discount for certain city residents who have economic disadvantages. How about that? Does that sound like something good? I mean, their tuition is up in the ozone as compared to LCC. Maybe a break for certain students, certain city residents who cannot afford college education. Maybe they can make some concessions there. And I don't see what's wrong with that. Tit for tat, quid pro quo. But anyway, back to this. If you, Tony, or somebody could straighten me out, I would just like to know the specifics of this project that the Industrial Fund and what do these other companies just always believe? I mean, I never heard of that. Resurrection of NEPA, LLC. It's an LLC. Responsibility. So in other words, each of these organizations is going to contribute to this project, whatever it is. I assume every council member is more familiar with this than I am. So if you can enlighten me or the rest of the residents here, it would be appreciated. Also, just if the mayor or somebody can explain to me that these people being appointed to the Board of Health, I'm not questioning their credentials, although I think it might be a good thing in general. What does the Board of Health actually do? Does it work in conjunction with the Department of Health? I'm a little confused on that. I'd like to know. But thanks for your attention if you do give me that. That's all I have on the agenda.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, Mayor.
Hi, Tony. Tony, thank you. Hi, Sam. Anyway, Sam, a couple of things. As far as the RCAPs, You were right, it's a dollar for
I've heard-
dollar match, but if the council does not sponsor it, they could go to places like the county, they could go to Chamber of Commerce. They could also sponsor it. So it's just we're the vehicle that's setting it up for them. They have to pay it. We don't pay it. The city's not paying it. They're paying it. Okay?
Goes directly to the,
But let me get through some of your questions, because I don't want to, not answer all your questions. Anyway, Sam, we're just one of several vehicles that can be used for these RCAP applications, okay? Like I said, some have been sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce and other places. So nothing for the city. It's no indebtedness for the city. You're talking about the new organization that's going to be over on River Street. They provide a service. Wilkes College provides a service. Would I like more pilots? Of course I would. I'd be crazy if I wasn't. I wouldn't tell you that because I don't want to lie to you. Of course we would. But they also provide a service. So I'm trying to explain to you, how that works, okay? So please understand that.
what's the project? If
There
you,
was something else, Tony, that was brought up.
Board of Health.
Board of Health, yeah. Yeah, the Board of Health, we're one of 10 health departments in the entire state of Pennsylvania. There's only 10. We provide services, and I'm going to be providing a report to the residents of the city of Wilkes-Barre shortly. It outlines all the services that are listed that the health department provides. There's only 10 in the state. We're one of the 10. The two people that I want to appoint to the health department, the board, one gentleman is in charge of Geisinger, South Wilkes-Barre and Geisinger and up on the hill. The other person is a registered nurse that worked for the city for several years in the health department. So these people are very, very well qualified. They were actually vetted before we actually put them before council. So they're very well qualified. Okay, and just going back to the colleges, I believe you were an educator and you know the value of education, Sam, okay? So that's the reason why we do provide services in helping the colleges, because they do provide the service. You mentioned LCC. I'm a trustee at LCC. I love the college, and I do as much as I can as the mayor for LCC also. So I hope I answered all your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Troy. Anyone else on pending legislation? Okay, moving on, thank you.
Okay, we're going to need a motion and a second on the consent agenda, which is going to be the 4 resolutions and the minutes.
Motion?
Motion by Mr. Belishko.
Second?
By Mr. Marin. Mr. Belishko.
Yes.
Mr. Marin.
Yes.
Mrs. McClay.
Yes.
Mr. Brooks.
Yes.
Now we need a motion and a second on file of council number 1, which is an ordinance adding Article 5 to Chapter 11 of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Wilkes-Barre, entitled Mobile Food Facility. We need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. McClay,
Second?
second by Mr. Marin. Mr. Belishko.
No.
Mr. Marin.
Yes.
Mrs. McClay.
Yes.
Mr. Brooks.
Yes.
And we need a motion and a second on file of council number 2 of 2025, which is an ordinance amending Article 6 of Chapter 28 of the Wilkes-Barre City Code of Ordinances entitled Fee Proration, first reading. Need a motion and a second.
Motion.
By Mr. Marin,
A second?
second by Mr. Belishko. Mr. Belishko,
Yes.
Mr. Marin,
Yes.
Mrs. McClay.
Yes.
Mr. Brooks.
Yes. Council presentations. Council presentations, Councilman Belishko?
I've covered most everything, but Charlie, you had mentioned to me about the, now is it on Horton Street, the collapse? Is it a water issue? Is it a sewer issue? I didn't see any sanitary trucks down there. And the other thing, do we have a time frame?
Councilman, it's a major break that took place there. Spoke with people today about it. It's actually several different issues with it. One is the sanitary lines that are going through. Now, understand, these sanitary lines are over 100 years old. A lot of them are old terracotta. So there's several miles of these lines that really have to be replaced, but that's one of the problems. The other problem is the water company lines, okay, that are in there. We believe it was a break from the water lines that actually attributed to other issues, including the terracotta pipe. So I got a report today. It's ongoing. It's coming to fruition. It's going to be finished hopefully shortly. But it's a major break, and it's very deep. Some of our sewer lines are actually 20, 30 feet in the ground because that's what they did 100 years ago. So, Mike, it is coming to it's your district. I know that, and it's a very popular street. But the report I got today is that things are getting connected now. They're doing some more pumping, but they're also connecting the lines. So it'll be a few more days, don't get me wrong, but when it's fixed, it should be fixed for good.
If you recall, there was one there a few years back, maybe. It was quite a major one right in that area, so more of it must have collapsed.
And Mike, the one break that we had a few years ago, I believe that you're talking about, it cost the city about $250,000.
Yeah.
So these breaks, these sewer lines, are a major issue. And folks, there's 620 streets in Wilkes-Barre, okay? Now think about it, all these old sewer lines go through those streets, every one of those streets. We do our best, we put a certain amount of money in our budget to repair these lines, but it's a major, major hit for the city. And it's not just this administration, it was every single administration over many, many years that's been dealing with this. So think about it, over 100-year-old lines going through all those streets. So Mike, long answer to a short question, but it's coming to finality, okay?
All right, great. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. That's all, Tom.
Great. Councilman Marin?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Jess for her hard work for this pardon me, for the ordinance that she put a lot of time into. And to be honest with you, when it was first moved, like after it was moved till 2 a.m., I really wasn't happy until I did some research and some homework and talked to some people. And I think it's a good idea because, as this gentleman said, it would take away 30% of his business, and I'd hate to see that happen to anybody. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I voted yes for that. And also like to thank the administration for giving me a hand this week. A lot of broken down houses they kind of went to and cited some people, and I appreciate that with them. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you. Councilwoman McClay?
Yep, I want to thank everybody for your support, for coming out. I'm thrilled that there was only one complaint. I'm happy about that. That means I did my research, I looked what would fit best for the city, and like I said, if we have to tweak it a little bit, we can, but I'm glad to see everybody here and your support for this. Thank Council. Tim, I thank you, I know. I highlight it and text it late at night all the time, but you know, I thank you for your help. Mayor, Charlie, thank you. So I'm good on that. And then I want to thank the DPW again. So Biscottini Road looks fantastic. They did the same thing on East Chestnut. They cut it back, cleaned up the garbage. It's ready for spring, so I want to just give them a shout out. Looks great.
Well, you've noticed what we're doing in late winter now. We're trying to get ahead of the major areas. We're down on Arch Street, so you know they've been down on Arch. We're trying to get a hold of those chronic places that are overgrown, cutting them back in the winter when we have the available forces and we don't have to be out doing lawn mowing and things. So I think it's going to pay dividends in the summer. It's going to look an awful lot nicer, and thanks. They work very hard. They're out there in 20-degree weather with weed whackers and saws, and that's not easy work.
They work hard, these guys.
That's it, I'm good.
Good, thank you. Yes, Shelley, I was going to mention Arch Street. I got a text from a constituent from McLean and Arch who says Arch Street looks good. It's just sad that we have to do this over and over again with illegal dumping. And then you all know my pet peeve, these signs. And for people in the audience, you probably see these signs.
It's over now.
On telephone poles. That's why I'm showing it. So February 23rd, this is over. So I hope we can get the guy to take all his signs down. Folks, these are illegal signs. They junk up our city. They make us look terrible, and the businesses that put these up, they pay people to put them up, and those same people should come take them down. So this is an event that happened last Sunday, and I'm hopeful that these signs will come down. And if you see one in your neighborhood in front of your house on a telephone pole, take it down yourself. And another suggestion, call the numbers on those signs, the ones that you see the signs that say "We buy houses" or the diabetic strips.
Yeah.
Call the number and tell the guy, take your sign down. You're messing up my city. We're trying our darndest to make this the most beautiful little city we can. And if we all work together, we certainly can do that. Okay, public discussion is next. Anthony Fana. Anthony? Hi, Anthony.
Hi, I'm Anthony Farah. Thank you for having me, Council. And a community is judged based on how they treat their most vulnerable, our children, our elders, people that are sick, and our homeless. And Wilkes-Barre is failing on that front, on our homeless community. Back in the 1990s, there was a homeless encampment sweep that kicked out the homeless people. Unfortunately, a homeless person was killed by our police back then. But that same system was continued. And on July 25th this past year, there was another sweep of Kirby Park that displaced about 20 people. Their belongings and housing setup was destroyed by the city, who paid a contracting company to come rip those homes out. They could have been used to help these people, to house them, to pay for services, to spend more money in shelters. I was there on the sweep. It was very dehumanizing of the things that I've seen in my life. Thankfully, there's good people at the VOA that was there to help them and me to move their belongings. People could save as much as they could. But unfortunately, there's some word that there might be another homeless encampment sweep. These sweeps aren't going to help anyone. It's going to hurt people. Our homeless community, people die trying to stay warm in the cold, and they rather risk their lives out in the cold and go to these abysmal shelters that we have in the city, such as Mission, which now, I guess, maybe due to the issues that Mayor had mentioned about the sewage and water, has no running water at the shelter. They have to use a porta potty that is down the street or down the side of the facility. And these issues need to be resolved, because it's not helping anyone and it's killing people. These are our neighbors, people that have grown here through the community. Just because they're down in their luck doesn't mean they have to die. So I would like to have a moratorium on homeless encampment sweeps in Wilkes-Barre and the greater area until the Code Blue facilities are open year-long. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. What I'd like to say is we want to be humane as possible in helping the most vulnerable. We have put money into various shelters. As you know, Catholic Service has opened up a new shelter. I believe it has 20 beds. Keystone Mission opened up 15 beds up on higher part of Cole Street. Keystone Mission opened up the shelter that they currently have over here on Pennsylvania Avenue. Ruth's Place has 33 beds, I think, 35 some beds. Domestic violence, when we have, that's another big issue. And then when women and children, they have, I think it's 90 some beds at the domestic violence shelter. I only speak for myself in this council, but I want to work as much as possible with the administration and the volunteer organizations that help the homeless population. I think it's cruel to see people live on the streets, and the best thing to do is to help those people. And we are trying the best we can. Thank you very much for your comments. Okay. Next.
Can I ask a question on that?
Any
Yeah.
comments? I'm sorry.
Keystone Mission has no running water? Are we aware of that?
Not my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that myself.
That's who you're talking about, the one in Pennsylvania Ave?
Yes.
That's not my understanding.
I did see the Job Johnnies. I didn't know they didn't have running water. I thought that was just to accommodate the homeless that have to wait out there.
My understanding is the Job Johnnies were placed at the request of the advocacy groups for the people who are lined up outside, that they have periods of time. That does not indicate that there's any problem with any of the interior restrooms.
These facilities are a place where people resort to drugs.
I'm not back and forth, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, we don't go back and
I'm
forth.
just answering what the council asked me about.
Okay.
Okay, James, you wanted to speak another issue?
That's what I thought they were for, because they were.
Just the mayor around, or?
He had to leave, sir. He had to leave.
Okay. Anyway, the mayor, council, Chairman Brooks, Just my question is, what's the progress going on with the Washington Street Bridge? Is there anything going on? There was $4 million allocated for the project. Are they going? They had DEP. We had a meeting 2 years ago at the firehouse, and there was, everybody was there, DEP, the EPA, the guy that's going to build it. Everybody was there. What's the progress? Any progress coming along?
Okay. Could you speak to that, Charlie? Thank you.
Generally, the mayor, I believe, spoke to this 2 council meetings ago, if I recall correctly, to paraphrase it. All of the permitting has been through now, and it's moving into final design phase. But again, they work on their own regulatory and statutory requirements, so they don't move along very quickly. But we're at least at final design phase, which means there's not going to be any objection that could be filed to it.
I thought they had a design, to tell you the truth.
Well, they have a
At the
design, but
meeting-
they have a design, but they have to go through a formal process of approval of all of the blueprints, et
So
cetera.
when the backhoes and everything starts coming in,
The mayor will be very pleased because he spends more time than he really is able to spend on this, trying to move this along.
so there is some progression?
Yes, yeah. It's not tied up in some of the more esoteric problems that we are having with the regulations.
It will be done.
Oh, it's going to be done, yeah. There's a
Okay.
timeline.
Okay, thank you.
And just so you know, I ask at least every other council meeting. I backed off a little, so every other council meeting, I do bring it up and ask for an update on it. And as soon as I have something definite, I will reach out to you and let you know.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Farrett, did you want to come up again about
I don't know if this.
any topic you want to
Ira
talk about?
Sheriff, I don't know if this is a question for you or zoning, but my son and I recently purchased about 1.5 acres of land, and I spoke to the mayor briefly, and he said that he was willing to sell us another about 1 acre on the other side of it. It's on Congo Lane, and I spoke to you briefly about utilizing that land to create more housing. We discussed maybe a tiny home community, or maybe getting zoning to approve a higher density so that we can build up and subdivide the land in this way that we can have more, because right now it's approved for just one single family, but it's 1.5 acres, it's not really the best use of it. And so, I just would like to see more long-term plans for the unhoused community, affordable housing. And so I don't know if that's something to discuss here as far as getting approval for that or zoning.
So zoning, it would be zoning for that, but that is a discussion we should have. I happen to be a big believer in high-density, either tiny houses or more on a particular space. So go next to zoning, and we'll see what zoning says, but I'm not up on the zoning laws. That's why we have a zoning commission and a solicitor for that. But I definitely agree with you. I think if we can do affordable small homes, the tiny house movement, maybe something like that, or a high-density thing on it, that would be better for Wilkes-Barre. It would help with the unhoused, would help with people, and we can get people the housing that they need.
I just wanted to add, there's many home buying programs like NACA. They have excellent programs for low-income individuals. They even have a program, it's a $1 program with cities all over the United States. There are many different programs, and we know that in Pennsylvania, I believe in Wilkes-Barre City as well, if we're able to increase the density and build either 3 or 4 multifamily homes, we can turn some of those units into group homes. And so, yes, we can turn some of those units into group homes, and so we will be able to address the mental health issues that we have, the substance abuse disorder issues that we have, and so we'll be able to actually just really not just house them, but actually be able to give them the assistance that they need.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the information.
Just one other question. Is this the property that's on Congo Lane, that big lot there?
Yes.
And there's 2 lots there?
There's another lot on the opposite side of the railroad, and it's city-owned.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm familiar with that. Now, what kind of thing is going to be constructed there? I think that
Well,
came in front of us before, didn't it? No?
Yeah,
The one on Cary Ave did about a year or so ago, I believe.
Yeah.
No, that's not the one we're
It's not
talking
developed
about.
yet.
But I'm sorry, what are you looking to do there?
Well, we're a group of nonprofit and grassroots organizations. We would like to put it into a community land trust, so that stays within the community for life. You know, we have a lot of, big corporations come in and buying things and make it unaffordable for everyone. And they don't upkeep the homes. They're usually infested and falling apart. They don't pass inspection. And, it's, for me, myself, as a disabled mom, it's been very difficult. I've been fortunate to be in my place for 5 years, but if I were to get kicked out for any reason, it's something that keeps me up late at night. And so, the goal with the community-owned businesses, as I think I spoke to you about the food co-op, we have millions upon millions of dollars every month pouring into Walmart, Sam's Club, Price Chopper, Wegmans, nothing against them, but they're not putting any of that money back into our community. And we all know that food is highly overpriced. So if we are able to start these community-owned businesses and keep our money circulating within our communities, we would see just how much money we can actually put towards the things that we need, such as housing, such as, some of the medical centers that are falling apart. And when I tell you the numbers, I mean, we all know about wholesaling and private label and food. I'm looking at a warehouse now on Wilkes-Barre Boulevard and Hazel. It's a huge warehouse over there, and they are very open to the idea of having a community-owned grocery store. We would be able to really just take back, we're pouring money into other corporations that every time we walk into Walmart, they have another machine. They have another self-checkout, and they're not creating the jobs that they probably promised, right?
Right.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Troy?
Thank you, Mr. Book. I just have a couple of recommendations. I don't support the political aspect, the political agenda that is that our president's pushing for the most part. I don't support politically the Republicans at all. I'm not really a Democrat, but that being said, I do think that there's at least one element of his administration that I see as favorable, and that's the DOGE, Department of Governmental Efficiency. So I had a novel idea, at least I thought about it for a while, modest proposal. So I thought that on the municipal level and the county level, and perhaps in other areas of government as well, such as some of these authorities, we could have some aspect of that under operation. Now, this might frighten a lot of people because, as you know, what's happening in the federal government with people getting fired and regulations being cut, et cetera, doesn't sound too good. But on the whole, I think the concept is favorable. So I would like to make the proposal, and I've been pushing this concept for a while in one form or another. Well, and I haven't done it for a while, but if you remember correctly, I try to push the idea of a citizens advisory group or citizens advisory committee, whatever you want to call it, which other municipalities do have. I don't know about around here. I think this would be a good time to think about getting public citizens, and I'm sure there are enough of them, maybe even some here, who would come forward and sit separately from council and examine or scrutinize or vet the efficiency of our government here, on the municipal level, I mean. And I'm sure there will be a lot of a lot of recommendations that could be made to make the government more efficient. So, and it's a way to get, you seem to advocate also the participation of citizens to make this more democratic. And as you know, our democracy to some extent is in peril here. I don't mean on the local level, but on the national level, at least that's the consensus. So in order to compensate for that, maybe this idea could be pushed forward somehow. To get citizens directly involved and to have them, they won't have a vote or anything, but to examine and scrutinize the government, the way it operates, and where savings could be made and how the government could be made more efficient. On another note, I wanted to just go over, since my time is limited, historical preservation, which I know is a touchy subject with our chairman. But I was told by Ms. Payne that, I just want to make this clear, those of you, I think this is a good concept. We want to improve the quality of life, and I think there seems to be some sort of feeling in certain parts of this administration that this is not a good thing. Otherwise, I think the mayor might have gone forward or pushed this initiative more. All around you, all other municipalities in the county have a historical preservation society. A comprehensive, that's the key word. And now you've done a lot, I don't deny it, for historical preservation. I'm not disputing that, and that's commendable. But there has to be a comprehensive program. We've lost a lot to development. So, according to Ms. getting back to that, I'm sorry. She indicated to me that there was no committee, quote unquote, on the books, that there's no historical preservation committee on the books. This is what I take her word to be accurate. So if that's the case, then there has to be an ordinance established to bring this thing to a head, to make it a reality. So that the mayor can appoint people and we can move forward, even if it's just a minute amount.
Right.
So, I thought that would be something that would be commendable because, I mean, there have been, most recently, Myers High School, nobody here lifted a finger in protest. I would say, well, what can we do? Well, we could have spoken out about it. I spoke out about it to no end, but I tried. Look, one more thing. Why can't the mayor or the council push the idea of, I talked about it with Tim, the idea of adopting the Homestead Act. It's not going to cost, from what I understand, it's not going to cost the city a dime, but it would save tax, since the mayor doesn't want to go forward with any sort of initiative to get senior citizens an extra percent or two, or to lessen the taxes, God forbid, 1% for seniors or anybody who is economically disadvantaged. What is wrong with the possibility of looking into adopting the Homestead Act so there would be more money available, or less taxes to pay for most people who qualify for that act? Thank you. I don't know if anybody wants to answer me.
On citizen advisory for the budget, Sam, there's nothing stopping you. The budget's always a public document. It's put up on the website. The one that we will discuss, that will be for this year. Nothing stops you from going line by line on that budget and coming.
So you mean it's a done deal?
No, listen to me. The budget gets published on the city website. There's nothing stopping you from getting a copy, either watching it online or getting a paper copy and going through yourself line by line and giving us suggestions for efficiency. Nothing stopping you on doing that. Second, on historic preservation, yes, we did pass, it was a zoning amendment we made, but we're coming back with a different solution. We had a meeting last month with the State Director of Office of Historic Preservation. He's coming back again in March because we're looking at the issue of historic tax credits and how we can have that program used throughout the city. There was a comprehensive historic site plan already done for the city. The city paid for it back in 1979, and I'm trying to get that eventually implemented. What was the third thing? What was your third thing? Homestead. My understanding of how Homestead works is it reduces the assessment of a house, then that means you would pay less taxes. So the city would get less money coming in. So I think there would be an economic study of how much it would cost us to do the homestead, and I'd like to see that. And maybe that's something that the finance director, Brian Swets, could do for us. All right, thank you very much.
That's it?
I answered all three of your questions. Anything else from council? Okay, we'll see you at the next meeting.